Hello students. In our last lecture we have studied the prescribed syllabus that Mumbai University has prescribed for us for the students to study. This topic is relevant if we apply, as I told you in our last lecture, if we apply this theory to our own self, we will understand that communication is required for everyone. Communication is important part of our human psychology, human personality. It's a part of our personality. It's a part for negotiation and social understanding. It's a part of building relations with all entities of the society, and that is what communication has got such a importance in the modern changing world. We have seen that the the things that are very much necessary now these days, each and every advertisement that you will see in the newspaper, there is always the requirement, and that requirement is a good communication skills. So what are the requisites of the communication, and what are the requisites in communication in English? So if we try to understand that, we have to think, what does this communication concept means? What is this? It's an enigma. It's a question. What does this has in store that we need to understand here? So, as per the requisites of the communication, we need to understand that communication is a sharing of our views, thoughts, information that we have. It's felt in urgent need for the human beings to communicate, and to communicate is a human psychology. It's a part of our psychology. So human being tries to communicate. At the same time, other animals do communicate. Dogs, birds, the pet animals, the wild animals, every animal every animal that we see around us are making certain types of sounds. These sounds are nothing but the communication in their said language. What makes our communication is different from the rest of the animal world? It is nothing other but the ability to produce the meaningful sounds. Man is an intelligent animal as compared to other animals. Then what is the difference is that in the speech system, lungs, trachea, speech organs, all those types of speech organs are very much susceptible for the human communication in comparison to the birds and animals. So we do have various types of flexibility in producing sounds in tune with the intelligibility, in tune with the intelligence of human being. And man as an intelligent one, we have studied that there are so many experiments that are done by some of the linguists and psychologists. Noam Chomsky is a Russian linguist who experimented on the chimpanzee. Chimpanzee is an intelligent or so-called monkey and a human being. A baby chimpanzee and baby boy were reared simultaneously. Both were given the same kind of treatment, the same kind of a training, language training especially. Language is taught to chimpanzee baby and human baby. But after a certain, say 5 to 6 years, the conclusion has been drawn by Noam Chomsky is that chimpanzee could produce only 5 to 6 words, and the child of a human being could produce so many words that have been taught. Chimpanzee cannot form the sentences, whereas the human baby can produce words and sentences. It means that the difference between them is not of speech organs. Of course, there is a slight difference in speech organs, but at the same time, the difference is in the intelligence. But what type of intelligence do we have? We have linguistic intelligence. The front side of a brain is producing codes, signals, and all our linguistic ability, language skills, and words, rules are stored in the front part of our brain. And that is what man is capable of making these sounds, and that makes human being as different from other or rest of the animals and birds. All those floras and faunas. In the conclusion, we can say that only human being can produce the sounds, and it is inherently psychologically man's inner desire to express himself, human beings, makes him to produce sounds. The sophisticated language that is available for us now these days was not there when human being was living in the historic and prehistoric era. The entire so-called class were living in a typical different style and fashion. But what type of fashion that was? Human being used to live in caves, mountains, in the forest, or making some small shades on the top of the trees, on the branches of the trees. And that was the part of living that human being used to do. Human being lived their life of in tune with the natural existence. In the course of his life, human being faced the problems in case of the disasters, natural disasters, and in this backdrop, he felt certain cries do have, he tries to make some sounds, cries, and added some kind of meaning to it. But before meaning could be added to it, he used to signify something. So the fire is indicated. So the natural events and incidents or signs were used in the earlier communication. His making marks on the trees, is making marks on the caves, walls of the caves, where the first initiative that human beings started to engrave. The pictures, The charts that he used to make were the first initiative that he took in the written communication. The sounds that he are added with some meaning, and this meaning definitely are understood by other human being, fellow human being. So the use of natural sounds, certain cries do have certain meaning. Today, even we do have these types of so-called cries. जेव्हा एखाद्या बाळाला, नवजात बाळाला भूक लागते तेव्हा ते रडतं. ते बाळाचं रडणं जे असतं ते बाळाचं रडणं हे आईलाच समजतं. का बाळाला भूक लागलेली आहे किंवा काहीतरी बाळाला पाहिजे. जेव्हा ते बाळाला आई जवळ घेते तेव्हा ते बाळ रडण्याचं थांबतं. हे बाळ जन्माला आल्यानंतरचं त्याचं हे पहिलं कम्युनिकेशन जे घडतं ते आपल्या आईच्या सोबत घडत असतं. म्हणून सर्वात पहिले बाळ जे बोलतं ते फक्त आपल्या आईशी बोलत असतं. ते फक्त आपल्या आईला समजतं. आणि म्हणून हे पहिलं कम्युनिकेशन आहे. तो कुठलीही भाषा शिकलेली नाही, तो फक्त आवाज काढतो, क्राईज, आवाज काढतो. आणि त्या आवाजाला अर्थ आहे म्हणून आई जवळ घेते. जर अर्थ नसता तर काही जवळ घेतलं नसतं. That is the first communication that human being has in the world. या जगात आल्यानंतर पहिलं कम्युनिकेशन जे घडतं ते आपल्या आईच्या सोबत. And thereafter we have seen he never tries to write it down. नवजात बाळक लगेच कागद पेन घेणार नाही लिहायला. So by making certain cries, sounds and words, and it has its own significance, it has its own meaning that we see is reflected in his communication. So the communication is all about the cries, sounds. So the first communication that